Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Janice Lo. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Japan has gone ahead with its plan to discharge treated radioactive wastewater into the Pacific Ocean despite opposition. Russian paramilitary leader reportedly killed in a plane crash near Moscow. And India achieves a historic milestone, landing a rover on the south pole of the moon. Japan commenced the release of treated radioactive water from the Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean at around 1 p.m. local time today. Beijing has slammed the move and banned the import of Japanese seafood products till further notice. Hours before authorities at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant started discharging treated radioactive water into the Pacific Ocean, dozens of Hong Kongers made their way to the Japanese consulate in Central to protest against the decision this morning. The group strongly condemned the Japanese government's action and said that it was inhumane. Demonstrators called for the resignation of Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. They accused Tokyo of bribing the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, to approve the release of the contaminated water. But the consulate did not send any representative to collect the petition, and the group left a letter outside the office building. 12 years after a massive offshore earthquake and the ensuing tsunami damaged the nuclear facility, Tokyo Electric Power Company, the operator of the plant, confirmed it had commenced discharging radioactive water at around 1 p.m. local time today. The plant operator said the discharge is a big milestone towards decommissioning the wrecked plant and a solid move forward. Stored in 1,000 giant tanks across the plant, the treated radioactive wastewater will be released into the ocean through an underwater tunnel 1 kilometer off the coast. The first round of discharge will last 17 days, dumping 7,800 tons of the wastewater into the Pacific Ocean. Getting rid of all the water will take decades. In the SAR, seafood products from 10 Japanese prefectures, Tokyo, Fukushima, Chiba, Tochigi, Ibaraki, Gunma, Miyagi, Niigata, Nagano, and Saitama have been banned starting today. But those traveling to Japan could still bring the items back to Hong Kong as souvenirs, as long as they are not for commercial use. Mainland customs have also banned imports of all aquatic products from Japan. The water discharge from the Fukushima power plant has not deterred travelers from the city heading to Japan. Most of them said they were not worried about the possible contamination. This man going to Tokyo explained that as Japanese are still living in the country as usual, everything should be fine. He added that the world is constantly getting contaminated and there is pollution everywhere. Steve Hoon, executive director of EGL Tours, revealed that due to the action of the Japanese government, tour group bookings to the country dropped 20% yesterday. But he believes the impact is just temporary. Police are investigating a link in the death of 2 senior citizens who lived in the same public housing block in Tiwanshan. While the woman was hacked to death with an axe, her male neighbor who lived 1 level below was found hanging in his flat, Macy Monk reports.
Revealing their findings about the death of 2 neighbors who died 2 hours apart yesterday, the police said the 85-year-old woman, Tam Fong Oi, was found lying unconscious in a corridor inside Ching Yuk House in Tzu Shing Estate in the afternoon. She suffered from cut wounds to her neck and head, and officers recovered an axe from where she was found. The senior citizen was pronounced dead after she was sent to Kwong Wah Hospital. Initial investigation suggests that the woman was allegedly attacked by her 66-year-old male neighbor Chow Yun-cheung, who lived one level below on the 14th floor. Speaking to the press this morning, Wong Tai-sin Assistant District Commander Lau Kai-ho said that the old woman had complained to the building management earlier in the day, alleging Chow of making some loud noise. Officers went to Chow's flat and discovered the door was locked. When they broke in around 5:30 p.m., police found the 66-year-old hanging from a cable. Both residents had lodged about 10 complaints against each other in recent months with accusations of disturbance. The woman had complained about the man striking the ceiling of his flat with a hard object to create noise, while Chow had taken issue with her hitting the floor. Police have ruled out robbery as the motive and are investigating whether complaints filed against each other could be the root cause of their deaths. Both deceased lived alone and have no records of mental health problems. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
The Lan Kwai Fong Group looks to focus on mainland tourists who frequent the entertainment district more often. Group Chairman Alan Zeman said it is a better option than the night market. Here's Maisie Mock.
Financial Secretary Paul Chan proposed to revitalize the city's night markets to boost spending, but Alan Zeman, chairman of the Lan Kwai Fong Group, says it is not beneficial to the SAR's most popular party area.
I don't believe the night market will help Lan Kwai Fong, to be quite honest. It's a different customer. You know, Lan Kwai Fong has its own gentrified area. Night market appeals to everyone, families, children, kids, you know, depending on what you're selling and what's there, you know. But as I say, if it's something with cheap things, you're going to attract a very low-end customer. If Hong Kong is to do a night market, it has to be something with higher class, you know, better class and something not with cheap goods.
Zeman said Lan Kwai Fong is very busy after COVID. Restaurants and bars in the area have seen a 15% increase in business post-COVID.
The mainlanders have become very, very strong customers. They spend more than locals. And I joke around, I said, you know, an expat, a Gualo, will buy 2 beers and spend $100, right? And as a joke, of course, but I say, for the mainlanders, they'll spend crazy money.
The Lan Kwai Fong Group is now mulling with the government to boost the city's nightlife by offering dining incentives and flash mob performances at the party area. Visitors can expect to see magic shows and dance performances in Lan Kwai Fong in the near future. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
Overseas, Yevgeny Prigozhin, founder of the Russian paramilitary Wagner Group, was reportedly killed in a plane crash near Moscow yesterday. There's intense speculation surrounding his death, which comes just 2 months after he challenged President Vladimir Putin's authority in a failed mutiny. Sachin Katfi reports.
Mobile phone footage showed smoking aircraft debris falling from the sky and exploding after hitting the ground. Russian mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin, who led the conflict in Ukraine, was on the passenger list of the ill-fated aircraft. The Embraer Legacy business jet registered to the Wagner mercenary boss plummeted from the sky, crashing just south of the village of Kuzenskinsko, roughly 350 kilometers northwest of Moscow. All 10 people aboard were killed. Emergency services said that bodies of all 10 people have now been recovered from the crash site. Russian aviation authorities have confirmed Prigozhin's death, but there is no official comment from the Kremlin so far. Police have sealed off the area around the crash site. 62-year-old Prigozhin was instrumental in the war in Ukraine, and his forces helped Russia seize the city of Bakhmut in May this year. He lauded his troops but denounced Moscow's defense establishment for alleged mismanagement and denying weapons and ammunition to his forces. Prigozhin escalated his criticism of the Kremlin and launched a failed mutiny 2 months ago, seizing the Russian military headquarters in the southern city of Rostov-on-Don. He called off the action less than 24 hours later and struck a deal with Moscow to avoid any bloodshed. Prigozhin moved to neighboring Belarus, and his mercenaries were involved in training the country's army. President Vladimir Putin has so far remained tight-lipped on the reported death of Prigozhin. But there has been intense speculation surrounding the crash. Meanwhile, people brought flowers and candles to a makeshift memorial outside Wagner's office building in the city of St. Petersburg. Coincidentally, his death occurred exactly 18 months after Russia launched a full-scale invasion of its neighbor, and one day before the 32nd anniversary of Ukraine's independence from the Soviet Union. Sachin Katvi, HKIBC.
India's moon rover has taken first steps on the lunar surface, a day after the country made history by becoming the first to land near the South Pole. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed the achievement, calling it a success for all humanity. Here's Sachin Katvi.
There were celebratory scenes across India as the country made history, becoming the first nation to land a spacecraft on the South Pole of the moon. It was a matter of national pride for many as India claimed fourth spot to land on the lunar surface after the United States, Russia and China. Dr. Iram Irfan Ali, a resident of the capital New Delhi, said it was a proud moment for the scientists at the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO, who deserved all the credit for making the mission a success. Yesterday, there were anxious moments at the ISRO Mission Control Center in the southern city of Bengaluru before the lander touched down on the lunar South Pole just after 6 p.m. local time. More than a month after the mission took off, there were scenes of jubilation at Mission Control. Chairman of ISRO, P. Somnath, informed Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who was at the BRICS summit in South Africa, about the successful landing.
कोटि बधाइयां देता हूं.
Modi congratulated the whole nation on the historic achievement and said that this success belongs to all humanity. Chandrayaan, or Mooncraft, was the orbiter carrying the lander Vikram, which eventually touched down on the south pole of the moon. The lander will deploy a 26-kilogram rover Pragyan, which will explore the lunar surface for minerals and study the chemical composition of the soil, relaying data and images back to Earth. One major task is to hunt for water on the moon's surface, which could support longer lunar missions in the future. Sachin Katvi, HKIBC.
The BRICS group have decided to admit 6 new nations into the bloc. Chinese President Xi Jinping said the historic expansion will bring new vigor to the bloc during the final day of the summit in South Africa. Azam Khan reports.
On the final day of the BRICS summit, President of the host nation South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, announced the group's major decision to expand its membership.
We have decided to invite the Argentine Republic, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates to become full members of BRICS.
The expansion of the original bloc, which comprises of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is expected to take effect next year. The decision was endorsed by the leaders of the 5 emerging economies. Chinese President Xi Jinping hailed the expansion as historic, adding that it reflected the expectations of the international community and common interests of developing nations. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the move will add strength to the multipolar world order. Brazilian President Lula da Silva said the bloc had also approved the creation of a working group to test the adoption of a BRICS currency, which the expansion will complement. The increase in the usage of local currencies in global finance arrangements was also agreed upon by all 5 heads of state. Azam Khan, HKIBC.
Hong Kong stocks regained momentum as stronger corporate earnings helped lift confidence. The Hang Seng Index jumped a robust 2% in the biggest single session increase in nearly 1 month. The Hang Seng Tech Index, meanwhile, advanced 3.7%, gaining nearly 6% over 3 sessions. Turnover rebounded to over $100 billion, with more than 1,000 stocks edging up. Delivery platform Meituan was up 7.4% on better-than-expected profits and earnings in the second quarter, while Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu gained between 2 to 5%. Wuxi Biologics jumped 8.5% after first-half profit beat expectations, while Innovent Bio up 12.7%. Sentiment was also buoyed after U.S. chipmaker Nvidia's sales outlook exceeded analyst expectations by $3.5 billion. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index ended the day up by 366 points. To the top 10 active stocks, Tencent gained $7.20. Meituan was up $9.70, while Trackerfund was also up by 35 cents. AIA lost 25 cents, while Kuaishou gained $3.50. To the foreign exchange against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro is at 8.5, the pound's at 9.92, and the Australian dollar is at 5.04. Over in the UK market, the FTSE 100 is currently up by 14 points. On to the weather now. Sunny periods with a few showers. Temperatures will range between 28 and 32 degrees. Expect similar conditions heading into the weekend. That's our main news for Thursday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Janice Lo. Thanks for watching. Good night.